I posed the question earlier about how if you feel like your own Titanic's going down right now and the band isn't playing for you, but I said I'm going to be that band. And by band, what I really mean is Van Damme, because it's the Van Dammocalypse, baby. We're all shut in, and I'm celebrating by watching nothing but Jean Claude Van Damme movies, because I tell you what, I'm here to celebrate the good things that have been imported into this country, like Jean Claude Van Damme, like Dolph Lundgren. As Americans, let's quit acting like our stuff don't stink. We've put plenty of viruses out there, I think, okay? I'm sure we've sent Bon Jovi and Cardi B on international tours before this whole self-isolation kind of thing went down. I was at a work meeting, and I passed by some teenagers playing a video game, a basketball game, and it looked good, man. It looked better than any ESPN broadcast going on right now. You know why? Because there are no ESPN broadcasts going on right now. But the point is, video games have come a long way since I was a young lad. I remember for about 10 minutes in the early 90s, full motion video was the big deal in video games. Pixelated, 24i, full motion video. You Sega CD owners know what I'm talking about. Well, that Sega CD technology also powered a little thing I'd like to call the Universal Soldiers. Basically, Universal Soldier is you take the PTSD of Rocky, you take a little bit of the technoir aspects of ROBOCOP and Terminator, you take out any shred of a coherent plot, add in a fair amount of ridiculousness, and you basically just let Van Damme the Man and Drago from Rocky IV go after each other with their nearly invincible bodies, all powered by a beta version of Windows 95. I think this movie's set in 94. It came out in 92, but I think it's set in 94. It was directed by Roland Emmerich, who is mostly remembered for us making fun of him for basically regurgitating his Independence Day success over and over again with disaster movie after disaster movie. And to be fair, this one came early in his career, and it's one of his best, which I know when you say it's better than 2012 or The Day After Tomorrow, it's not really saying much. You got Jean Claude Van Damme, who'd become a star for a few years. He had his first shot with Predator, not as the Arnold role, mind you. He was going to be the Predator in green screen, and he didn't understand that, and he kept trying to do karate, and it was also, if you've ever seen it in the footage, it looked terrible, the costume and everything. He gets fired. Drago himself is, of course, Dolph, who had done Rocky IV. He didn't want to be the villain in this one. I think he tried out or wanted the good guy role because he'd done Rocky IV. They didn't give it to him, thank goodness, because he's great in this. But they're two guys that, for them, their Vietnam was, in fact, Vietnam. You got one of them who just wants to go home, and one of them needs to go into the loony bin home because he's losing it. And basically, they just end up, blowing each other's brains out in a pretty fantastic opening sequence. And Vietnam is for me, it's closer to home than you think. Not because I was ever there, because I'm far too young, but because it was actually filmed in Kingman, Arizona. They dressed this golf course out there in Kingman and just let them Epstein each other. Actually, a lot of the film was filmed in Arizona, over in Sedona and Payson, on the highways heading towards the Hoover Dam. The Grand Canyon makes a cameo, because of course it does. Also, the house in the film is in Clarkdale, Arizona, which if you're a Monkees fan, that's where you Monkey fans go to Epstein each other there. Anyhow, let's flash forward 25 years, or present day, whichever comes first. Anyhow, their bodies and some bodies of some other non-vets have been cybernetically upgraded to be, you guessed it, Universal Soldiers, which basically means they're the best of the best American soldiers with European accents and that Sega CD technology at their core. I actually heard somewhere that Drago and Van Damme the Man actually got into a fight over who would be top billing, and they said whoever wins will win top billing. I don't know if that story's true. It's one of the stories that you want to be true. It's like the Scorsese story of him bringing over Spielberg and his buddies and being like, hey, this is the gun I'm going to use to blow out the brains of the Columbia executive who's wanting to make me cut Taxi Driver. It's one of those stories that you want to be true. However, I do know that in France, at the Cannes Film Festival, they got into a shoving match, but they both said later on it was just for the publicity. Who knows? So they do a mission that's mostly successful. They send in this young girl, the news does, the media. This movie's ahead of its time and behind its time at the same time. And she's there to uncover the truth, find that story. Meanwhile, Drago and Van Damme see this lady, this girl, that gives them flashbacks to Nam. And so all of a sudden, their new implants, man, they're not holding on, okay? They need that LASIK surgery again because it didn't hold. And so, of course, Van Damme's obligatory babe, because, of course, fake news lady's gonna fall for Van Damme's Dick Tracy. It doesn't matter that, A, he's 25 years her senior, and B, he's technically dead. Anyhow, she's trying to get the real story, and our insert cutout, military scumbag character, he, of course, wants to stop the fake news foxy lady, because she's trying to get to the truth, and that's really where you get the rest of your plot from. Van Damme's trying to protect her, Drago's going a little more insane, and this whole hunt sequence leads to a, hotel, and that's where Van Damme gets his obligatory butt in the moonlight shot, and I tell you what, you homophobes out there, it looks pretty glorious in the, 4K UHD, so look forward to that one, kids. I mean, even the hotel owner's, older wife, she takes some time to perv at Van Damme. I think she might even have binoculars, I can't remember, but, she loves it. There's definitely a zoom lens, I can tell you that. Anyhow, this poor hotel gets renovated quick by Drago and company. They're going to need some of that bailout money, okay? And Drago, he is glorious in this. He's unhinged from the get-go, and as the movie goes along, he's just losing it more and more. He's got his own Etsy shop, selling custom necklaces. I'd say you know it when you see it, but you'll know it when you hear it. And we as the audience are also all ears as he just loses it in a grocery store, Bash's actually, for you Arizona kids. Van Damme's off eating 13 steaks or whatever at this restaurant, beating the absolute piss out of some country boy extras who ask him how he's going to pay. Meanwhile, Dolph is calling everybody a traitor and a gook in this store, just going nuts, and then they just shoot this place up. I mean, good luck finding toilet paper in aisle 3. And that whole sequence happens right after Dolph makes sure his leader has his eye on him. You'll know what I'm talking about. And so at this point, Dolph is in charge of the insane and the universal membrane crew, which is the way God intended this movie to go down. And from there, we got the showdown in Gastown. We have all the ice and all the ice bags that Americans are trying to find right now because, of course, it's all that's needed to cool down Van Damme because he's too hot. We got that Grand Canyon cameo I was talking about, including some Grand Canyon tour buses. Drago goes, he goes full Dennis Hopper, man. Starts shouting puns every other line. He's tossing grenades like they're, from an endless bag of peanuts. And of course, in the final showdown, we meet Ma and Pa Van Damme. They get involved, and they're both super white American farmers. Maybe Van Damme is adopted. He can adopt me, if you know what I mean. I actually don't. But also, there's also jokes about his accent in the movie, so they're completely self-aware about that. The movie simultaneously gets darker as it goes along, but also gets a little bit goofier. Would have cleaned up at the 92 Schlockers, I tell you. The best 80s villain in a 90s movie for Drago himself, Dolph. Best restraint from an actor with an ego for Jean Claude, because I don't think he uses a kick in this movie till the very last act. So, best psychopathic dad joke, or a pun featuring a custom-made necklace of other people's ears. Best use of a breakfast to give Jean Claude an excuse to beat the absolute crap out of some extras. Best jump scare featuring a dead guy who's not actually dead. It definitely gets best use of an action sequence at the Hoover Dam. Suck it, Michael Bay. Oh, best buns for the buns from Brussels, not just the muscles from Brussels. Best use of farming equipment to completely obliterate a villain. I mean, it really makes Steve Buscemi's death in the Coen Brothers' Fargo look like it was a Farley Brother movie. But anyhow, on my own personal Winona Ryder's face is a walking emoji generator scale of schlock cinema. It's easy for me to give this movie 4 Winonas. It is on 4K now. It's on regular Blu-ray too. It's streaming all over the place. And in this time of the Corona apocalypse, I say, get yourself a 6-pack of Corona, get yourself Universal Soldier, and enjoy.
Hock Schlock!